How are you, Taylor?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Good.
Good.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time since I've seen you.
Unfortunately, yes.
Evening, Blair.
Oh, I didn't even see that you were on there. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Good. Thank you for getting me all those checks. I really appreciate it.
And I have some more for you as well.
Okay.
So whenever you want them, do you just want me to put them in the mail to you, or do you want me just to let you know and have somebody come by?
If you let me know, either my wife or I will just come by and get them. And then I'm trying to get all those addresses changed so people can bring them here.
Okay. Sounds good.
But thank you for doing it.
You're welcome.
You got them all confused. I do? Yes. I don't think that's me.
Wow. We're back.
Good evening, Wes. Hi, Michelle.
Hello, hello.
Are we still missing Rob, Kim?
We are missing Rob, Brandon, and I believe Jamie too.
Okay.
I talked to Rob not too long ago. He was planning on coming in, so maybe give him a few more minutes to come into the meeting, and then maybe 2-3 minutes, and then we'll get started.
There's Brandon.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, there he is.
There's Rob.
There he is.
Sorry about that. I couldn't find the link. Is everybody on?
We're all here.
Oh,
I think Jamie is the only one that isn't.
Okay. Tim texted me a half hour ago, said he wasn't feeling well, so he asked to be excused. Don't need to get a virus on our computers.
Joseph will be joining us in the next 15, 20 minutes. He's tied up right now.
Okay.
Well, we could start without him.
All right. The time we get there, probably work out perfect timing. Kim, do you got anything? Am I good?
You're good.
Hey, I got 604. Commissioner Walton, we've asked him to help us with the Pledge of Allegiance. Go ahead and do that.
Sure. Please stand and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
This is the Planning Commission for South Weaver City. The date today is December 17th, 2020. Like I mentioned just earlier, Commissioner Tim Grubbs asked to be excused. However, we still have a quorum with us with the Planning Commission, so we are good to go. I need to read the electronic meeting declaration. I, Robert Osborne, as chair of the South Weaver City Planning Commission, do hereby find and declare as follows. Due to the emergency conditions which currently exist in the state of Utah, and specifically in Davis County and South Weaver City as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and the recent surge in COVID-19 infections across the state and in Davis County, the holding of public meetings with an anchor location as defined in the Utah Open and Public Meetings Act presents a substantial risk to the health and safety of those who may be present at the anchor location, and to the risk to those who may be present at the anchor location can be substantially mitigated by holding public meetings of the Planning Commission pursuant to electronic means that allow for public participation via virtual means. And 3, the city has the means and ability to allow virtual participation in the public meetings in accordance with the Utah Open and Public Meetings Act. Now, therefore, based upon the foregoing, for 30 days from the date of this order, meetings of the South Weaver City Planning Commission shall be conducted by virtual means without an anchor location, dated 1 day of December 2020. Thank you. The next is public comment. I didn't see any public comment come through. I know Jeff Sessions has one for later, but is there any other?
Rob, I sent the email out. There were actually 2, one from Paul Sturm and the other one from Jeffrey Eddings.
Okay.
Do you need to resend it to you?
No, I have them both. I had Jess and I have Paul's. I apologize. I forgot to mention Paul. I actually acknowledged Paul's this afternoon. So I think they want to be part of the public comment of the of both of them were for the loss at Deer Run.
Correct.
So I don't think they wanted just a regular public comment. So seeing that there is none, I look for a motion to move past public comment.
Do you need a motion or can we, because it's not a public hearing.
That's true, but I can't remember. Sorry, Gary. I think you're right. You're right. I jumped the gun. approval of consent agenda for the minutes of next agenda item, approval of consent agenda of the minutes of September 16, 2020, and the minutes of November 12th, 2020. Did the commissioners have a chance to review those minutes?
Yeah, I had no issue with them.
I didn't see anything either.
No issues.
Gary, you?
I'm good.
Okay. Then I look for a motion to approve those minutes.
I move that we approve the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from September 16th, 2020 and November 12th, 2020.
Okay, is there a second, please?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 I think we got all the ayes in. So I think we're good, Michelle. The next item on the agenda is the final site and improvement plans for Style Street Studios located at 2526 East South Weaver Drive. Did the commissioners get a chance to review those plans? Are there any comments or concerns?
Pretty much the same plans that they gave us in the initial, and I think that make a good addition to that area out there.
I agree. I like the plans. I kind of went through them myself. I couldn't see anything that had changed or different from the preliminary. Other, that we've been trying to do. They did reach out. I noticed to UDOT, and UDOT has plans in the spring to change that up, the striping, I believe. So, if I read that correctly.
Yep.
Which satisfied some of your concerns, right, Taylor?
Not specifically. I get that they're going to address coming on and off of South Weaver Drive. I'm more concerned about internal flow, but they've done the study, and I think it'll be okay. Just the more we add there, the more conflict there might be. So that's all.
Sure. Okay. Barry, do you know if the coffee shop is on their way or what their deal is?
I'm not sure what their delay is. I haven't heard anything recently.
Because they're ready to go, if I recall.
Yeah, they're all approved. They should be on their way. I don't know what their holdup is. We do have an assurance on this project that if the drive that goes across the frontage of that property is not paved prior to this project going in, they will pave it with this project.
Okay. That answers the question I had next, because I wondered how we were going to connect that. So, okay. Any other comments from the Plan Commission?
I just want to clarify something that was in Barry's and Brandon's letter, and it was the provision for a future drive-through. I know it's not on the plan right now, but as it's kind of mentioned here on the site plan, do you guys see any real issues with a future drive-through as contemplated?
I don't see any particular issues. It will, if that ever happens, it will take out, I think, 3 parking spaces. But since we don't know what would be going in there, we'll just have to address the number of parking spaces at that time.
Okay. Yeah, and that was the comment in Brandon's letter, is we'll have to address it when that ever comes in. I shouldn't see, or my question was just, do you see anything with how it's presently configured that would preclude us or any owner from doing that in the future?
No, actually, I think they've done a really good job of allowing for that in the future.
Okay. That's the only question I had, Rob.
Does drive-through, when a building creates a drive-through, it kind of starts to eliminate the need for so many parking spots. Is that right?
It does to some extent.
So we can afford to lose 3 to gain the drive-through, right?
Well,
We'll make
again,
the decision for later, but yeah, I get it.
depends on what goes inside, you know.
My point in bringing that up was just to point out that I don't want it to feel like they're getting approval for a drive-through right now.
Gotcha.
I think they've done a great job in planning for it so that it could happen. But if they want to change it to a drive-through in the future, it needs to come back for approval.
Okay. Anything else from anybody else in the commission? I'm excited to see what this is really all about. I'm not familiar with the concept of the salon studio, so it'll be fun. If not, I look for a motion from the Plan Commission to approve the final site and improvement plans for the Style Street Studios located at 2526 East South Weaver Drive.
I'll move to approve it.
Is there a second?
Can we make that motion to include the letters written by Barry and Brandon?
Yes.
We typically do.
Yeah.
Typical.
Yep. Then I'll second.
Okay. With those 2 letters as part of it. Do a vote. Wes, aye or nay?
Yay.
Gary?
Aye.
Taylor?
Aye.
Aye as well. Okay, the motion carries. Item number 6 on the Plan Commission agenda is a public hearing and action on preliminary site plan improvements and amended development agreement for the loft at Deer Run, located approximately 7870 South, 2700 East, by developer Joseph Cook of Deer Run Development LLC. I hope I don't lose you, but I got to bring up those other documents so I know what I've got. So as mentioned earlier, we need to open the public hearing. Sorry. Got too much going on.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Is there a second, please?
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Public hearing is now open concerning the lofts at Deer Run for the preliminary. There's only, like I said, there was 2 comments. One was from Jeff and Stacy Eddings, and it's regarding the water detention basin. He wants to make sure that it's going to be grass and landscape and have sprinklers as it was discussed previously, and the plans on page 552 still show rock. So we just want to make sure that the grass and landscape takes place. The other one is from Paul Stern. There was a whole list of comments in there. Did everyone have a chance to peruse those comments? There was a lot of stuff that was in there that is more or less cross the T's and dot the I's type things, the way I was reading it. Did everyone else see it the same way?
Yeah, I did.
Rob?
Yeah.
Maybe one of the biggest issues that I think he's trying to state here is some concerns with the updated traffic study. I don't know if you want me to just read some of those questions. I noticed that Joe Perrin is on here. He may be able to address. I'm doubtful that he's seen these. If you want to have him address any of that later on.
You know what? I think I'd like to just handle it right now if I can. If you don't mind doing that, Brennan.
I can read. I can read some of the questions, and might be a little unfair to have Joe just answer off the cuff, but if he feels comfortable answering some of these, he certainly could, if that works for you, Rob.
That works for me. Joe, if you're good with that, I'm
Yep.
good with that.
I'll do my best. I think I had these sent to me at 4:30 today, so I
Okay.
haven't quite had a chance to digest them, but I think they started on number 10
Yes.
of the comments.
Yeah. If you have it,
I-
Joe, do you want to just read it and answer? There's 10. I think if I look, it's numbers 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, and 29.
I didn't see 29 yet. Okay. Yeah, let's start going through the bulk there and then help remind me 29 so I don't miss it at the end here.
Okay.
Okay, so does everybody have these comments as well, or do you want me to read them and then kind of give my thoughts? You do have them?
Maybe go ahead and read them, Joe, so that we have them on the record verbally.
Right. So number 10 says packet page 102 of 561 LOFTS traffic study. During the recent LOFTS presentation to the council requested of A-Trans to present a comparison of the theoretical versus actual travel flow for the LOFTS project. I didn't see the presentation anywhere in this current presentation. Members of the council had conducted on-site at other similar developments and had stated their concerns. So my understanding was that was kind of for the shared parking, and that now the shared parking analysis has gone away. So we didn't do anything. And I did have a discussion with Brandon after the meeting, but because of the way that the site was going, they were going to eliminate a lot of things. We didn't go and do anything. What I do have is, again, just from what ITE recommends, this isn't shared analysis, but ITE produces a trip generation parking manual. And in that parking manual, the range of peak period demand, so this is actual demand that was measured at 21 different study sites in the suburban areas. That's all across the US though. It ranges from 0.59 vehicles per dwelling unit to 1.94. And that's why the majority of places use that magic 2 number. But we did not go out. I'm happy to call Steve, because I think what was mentioned was West Haven and Roy. So I can call Steve Anderson and I can call Jory Wallen, because I do the traffic for both those cities, and see that they haven't contacted me for concern. And I think the key was in the comments that were made last time was that you drove to a couple of apartment buildings and you saw people parked on the street. If there's not a no parking, which I thought was proposed here, no parking in front, then people are allowed to park on the street. And you'll see that because they will park, we're lazy. We will park the closest place to our front door that we can legally park. And so that's, I think, some of it, because what we never got into was, well, did you go into the parking lot and see how many spaces were actually available? Because just because they're parking on the street doesn't mean that the parking lot is always filled. And unfortunately, we haven't done anything else. So I kind of beat that question to death here, but that's all the information that we have right now for number 10. Okay.
Number 11.
Number 11, it says, why did the table of figures for the the May 2020 and the November 2020 vary? The main reason for that is because when we were doing the daycare center that was going to be there, we had a different origin destination because of the proximity of the neighborhood. And so Brandon and I had worked on that. And so you have different figures in there because we had separate figures for the different origin destination of the daycare and then the rest of the development.
Okay.
And that's why you see that there's less figures in the November 2020. Number 12.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. And feel free to ask me questions if I need to expand on any of these. Number 12, introduction summary. I do not agree with the statement made in the third bullet. How does one know that there will not be left out access? Who would enforce a no left turn access? So typically the way that you are, if you're going to restrict the left turns, is you not only have it signed as no left turns, but then you have like a partial island pork chop that would be at the driveway that would then make the left turns less desirable. Again, the fact that we're, what are we, 66%, I think, of the traffic that was there before, and then we're adding another access. The main reason is to have the 2 access points for the level driveway, or excuse me, the level parking lot. And then you have the underground parking that kind of has its own access that goes down underneath the buildings. And so that's why the third access got added when the underground parking kind of was dedicated with its own driveway. But ultimately, any enforcement's obviously law enforcement that is going to do that. If we're worried it's going to be violated all the time, then you probably shouldn't even restrict the left turns, but that's normally what we do when we're getting accesses this close together. The second part of that, excuse me, is there should be a fourth bullet to address Deer Run Drive traffic that will be turning left in front of the Lofts property. Site distance from Deer Run Drive to 27th East could be a safety issue and should be addressed in the traffic study. So typically, the site civil that's working on the site does the site triangles that have to be maintained. So based on the speed of the road, a certain site triangle must be made. But since they're placing the buildings where they go, that's usually a calculation that's done during that portion of the design. So we can tell you what it should be to make sure that people coming off of Deer Run can actually see far enough, north so they can make a safe left turn. Is that, I think, what that question might have been asking? But again, that's normally a site triangle diagram that goes with kind of the site civil work.
Okay.
Okay, number 13. Figure 5 does not address the traffic from Deer Run Drive. I believe the 5% shown for the traffic on 27th East is too low considering the number of houses south of Deer Run Drive that use 27. So I think what this is referring to is the origin destination. And what we're saying is that's just the site traffic. It's not saying, it's saying of the site where that traffic is going to go. And we base this on what the housing kind of does in the neighborhoods. So if you look at Deer Run, you look at 78, some of those things, where do people, are they going? And that's how we came up with this. So all the 5% means is we're sending people south of the site, that 5% into the neighborhood of the site traffic. And then 90% goes up to the highway and kind of out of the subdivision, traveling for shopping, school, for, commuters, et cetera.
Okay.
All right. Number 14, these figures do not address the middle access point with respect to any traffic patterns. I believe this report is inconsistent and not complete. Why was the middle access point not addressed? Middle access point needs to be addressed because of construction phasing proposed. So what we did, and I think there's a statement in there, what we did was we assigned the traffic just to the 2 access points. So the people that go underground, they have to use that one. The other one, we were just showing that it works so well that middle access is really an access of convenience to help the site circulate. But all we're going to do is, because the site's traffic is based again on ITE trip generation and the size of the development and the type of development. And so once we knew everything worked, because it was a B last time when we had more traffic, and so we knew that just one access or the 2 accesses would provide sufficient capacity. And so what we were basically trying to say is, hey, even if we make all the traffic go out here and here, as opposed to further dividing it into a 3rd access, it still works really, really well. And that was kind of the purpose of that, because we can distribute it further, but it's just going to get even better. And it just can't get much better is the thing. So that was the reasoning for focusing the traffic on that. Because the other thing was, if it came back and somebody says, we don't want to give you that 3rd access, then it's like, okay, well, then it still works with the 2 access.
Okay.
Excuse me, Joe. Kim,
Yeah.
can you let Joseph in? He's trying to get in the meeting.
I'm here. I got
let
it.
him in
Thanks.
earlier, as soon as he came in.
Thank you. Joe, can you continue?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I thought we were pausing. So this is the same comment for number 15. Says the 3rd access point once again was not addressed in the updated traffic report. Please see paragraph 15 above. And I think that probably means 14, but and then the traffic impact of Deer Run Drive and the 27th East traffic coming from the south of Deer Run Drive needs to be addressed from a safety aspect. This might be a similar question of that, because again, since only about 5% of our site traffic is expected to travel south from the site, there's very little traffic that's passing through that intersection. And so if this is more of a site triangle issue, again, just to make sure the buildings aren't blocking or you don't put in some kind of landscaping that blocks those site triangles. Is that what, am I interpreting that correctly?
You may be, and I'm just going to kind of throw in an interpretation. Maybe Paul's question here is, and I don't understand, but I think he may be wondering about the safety of the whole 2700 East Road as a whole and those going into Deer Run Drive coming up from the north to the south with the additional traffic that will be on 2700.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? What I'm trying
It
to
does.
say?
It does. All I can say is anytime you add another access, because right now it's an open field, so there's no traffic turning in or out on the road. And therefore, anytime you add another potential conflict point, you have, somebody could make a bad decision and you could have accident. Luckily, it's a very low speed or relatively low speed road, and the road has a ton of capacity. If you think of it from that aspect, there is lots and lots of capacity. And that's why you see the very high levels of service with the A's and the B's, meaning very good. We design typically for level service C or D in our peak periods, and that way we know they're better the rest of the day. And we're talking about A's and B's for our access points here. So the only reason that this would become less safe is because somebody's not paying attention and pulls out in front of somebody or something like that. But there's not going to be that frustration level of the road's so busy I can't find a gap and I try to force myself into it.
Gotcha. So, and the other question that may come up concerning this, is your traffic study take into account snow, weather, that kind of thing?
Not specifically. I mean, in what regards are you thinking?
We are practically in the mountains, and so I think there's I think the concern is sometimes the roads don't get plowed as soon as they probably should be, just because of the amount of precipitation that's coming down. And so I think that's the concern there as well. Can 2700 East handle the increased traffic coming out of the lofts with poor weather?
Right. And that's a great question, because we don't typically design for that snow condition. That's more of a maintenance issue. And so we don't really have adjustment factors that say, hey, the road is only 50%, 10% of the capacity. But I will point out that we are extremely low relative to the capacity of this road. So a typical 2-lane road has a capacity of about 13,000 cars a day.
Mm-hmm.
So we have quite a bit of that's the capacity now. And wouldn't be like level service A or B. That's right on between the E and F range. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of the capacity of a typical road like this.
Okay. I mean, I don't mean to be combative, but since this is an electronic type thing, I'm trying to think of what the concerns were in the past. I apologize, but I think that was one of the big ones was the steep of the hill, because it's the road is kind of on a hill with extreme weather.
Yeah, and it's a maintenance issue, because you're right, they are coming down a hill as they're leaving there, and so it will become more of a maintenance issue of doing that. I mean, I would say that the addition of the development doesn't add anything to how well the road is maintained, I guess. That would be the one thing.
I agree.
So.
Right. Okay. What was the last one, Brandon? Sorry.
So that was 15
29.
and then 29. I haven't even read 29 yet. So 29. See, these driveways clearly indicate a middle access for the development, yet A-Trans does not address the traffic in their assessment. And then shows the middle driveway, the traffic pattern of which was not addressed. And then clearly shows the middle. So it's all the same comment, I think, relative to the middle access point. I'm happy to do whatever you guys want. If it makes everybody feel better to move some of the traffic, I guess what I'm saying is it was not overlooked. There is not more traffic from the site that kind of magically disappeared. We just put the traffic at the 2 locations so that we could show that this works fine too. And then if I move some of that traffic over, everything just gets better for the access operations.
Okay.
Because you're further distributing the traffic. So I'm happy if this is a point of confusion to do something to fix that, but just so you know, that's what we would be doing.
Okay.
Robert, this is Fred Cox. I just had 2 comments that I think go with that to answer some of the questions that they asked about the traffic.
Okay.
This layout and what we've done in the past, we purposely fixed it so that the first building closest to Deer Run Drive would be a ways from the corner. And we also fixed it so we weren't raising up the grade at that point to cause any problems when we were proposing to to have a play area. We had fencing so that you could see through. We purposely fixed it so that we would not be adding any additional problems with someone coming in and out of Deer Run Drive. And the other thing that I wanted to mention, and Joe probably wouldn't say that, but one of the reasons I recommended him when I realized we were going to need a good traffic engineer is for 10 years, Joe was teaching the traffic engineers that are all over the state. And so consequently, he may not be working for the biggest firm in the state, but you would probably find that he trained most of those people, or at least a lot of them. And so I have a lot of confidence in Joe as a traffic engineer. He's one of the smartest people I know in that field. Everybody has strength.
You still with us, Fred?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
We lost him.
Fred, we lost you. You were saying that he's the smartest person you know in that field, and then you broke up.
Sorry, can you hear me again?
Gotcha, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't know, my internet got unstable, but yeah, he's just taught a lot of traffic engineers, other traffic engineers with UDOT and other places. I'd walk in with Joe and they'd take one look at him and they knew who he was because they had either worked with him or he had taught them. So I just wanted to have that out because last time people were kind of beating up Joe, and no, he's not perfect, but we have worked really hard. And obviously Joseph has tried to reduce the demand on traffic for this project. And Joe has tried to take that into account. So I just appreciate.
Where did Joe teach?
What?
He was up at the.
Yeah, I was a professor up at the University of Utah. So I helped run the traffic lab up there and taught for, well, let's see. I was teaching when I was getting my PhD up there too. So I think I was a professor up there for about 12, 13 years, and then kind of went to the full-time consulting because one of my former students actually started a firm down in Phoenix. And so before all this COVID, I'd go down there and help him run his traffic one. So I always kind of have two hats on. I've owned my company since 97. And now I'm helping him run his traffic operations firm down there. But he was one of my first grad students, actually. He's a really smart guy.
I just thought I'd pass that on as far as traffic. Thanks.
I appreciate that, Fred. Thank you. Joe, I'd like to have about a half a day ride along with you, and I'm going to point out some traffic problems I want you to fix.
You know, that's the problem. My wife always says when we go to parties, don't say you're a traffic engineer because everybody's got their signals they want me to fix. Like I have the key to everything and I'll just go do it. And she's like, just tell them you're a trash guy. Tell them you're a trash guy.
Very good. Very good. Joe Cook, just real quick, I don't think you were on the other public comment. We're just at the public comment part of this. Was that the person wanted to make sure that the detention basin was going to be grass and sprinklers, as we talked about before, and it wasn't showing that on these plans. So
yeah, that was our intent. So that should be on there.
Yeah. So that just so you're aware, that was the other comment. So what I want to do is I want to close the public hearing just so the housekeeping part gets taken care of here, and then we can finish talking about the preliminary plan, if that's okay. So is there a motion from the commission to close the public hearing?
I move that we close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
It's like it's there. Thanks. Thank you, everyone. So moving on to the site plan, if we can, and start looking at this. I really appreciate the way this seems to be going together. I think that day in September when we took a timeout for 10, 15 minutes, you guys come back up with that A, B, and C building plan. I think that's developed along pretty nicely, and I appreciate that, Joe. I really do. I think that's looking good. I think just moving through some of the parking issues and some of the issues that the council had is been beneficial and good. So some of my comments are just mainly just questions mostly, and I'm sure the commission has other questions, but how is it that buildings B and C don't have elevators. And I'm not familiar with 88D law or anything like that, but how? Aren't they required?
I can comment on that. The fair housing requires that you have accessible on the first level, and if you don't have accessible units on the first level, then it requires you to have accessible on any level, the first level above that, and it creates some problems, and then you can only have 3 units or whatever. But the fact that we have accessible units on the main level on all of them, it basically creates a scenario where you don't have to have the elevator because of that. So you're limited on certain factors, but once you put an accessible unit on the main level, then fair housing won't require it for the other levels. And so that's where it kicks in. If you can't put an accessible one on the main floor, then your upstairs without an elevator is limited to 3 units for residential. But once you've got that solved, you're okay.
And I think aren't the rear buildings have accessible in the parking garage, and then also accessible on the street level, right?
Yeah. We've got quite a few units, and they're all designed so that we can make cabinets and everything else so that'll work with somebody in a wheelchair. But the fact that they'll be condos, we've got a little bit more flexibility. But yeah, there's no reason that somebody in a wheelchair, and a lot of the people that we focus on people in wheelchairs, but a lot of people that are that have various disabilities, they're in walkers or canes or other things, and so we try to look out for everybody.
Sure. I appreciate the explanation, because that's just one part I'm not familiar with, and we haven't had too many facilities with the need for or an understanding of ADA. I forget.
ADA.
ADA, yeah. So I appreciate the insight. And that's mainly the big question I had. Is there anything else from the commissioners? Do they have any questions?
I do. More along the lines of architectural elements, if that's okay. Rob?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So as I'm looking at this, where do I start? First of all, I just want to commend you for everything that you've done leading up to this point and working with us. You've been great to work with. And the plans that you've brought before us are looking great. I know the last time we met, there was a different concept presented to us, and that was a little bit more of like I might get this wrong, but it was more of like a Caribbean architecture, right? And this has changed. And I'm wondering if you can tell me a little bit more about what drove that change.
I can perhaps comment. One of the things that was mentioned, not only Planning Commission and City Council, was that you wanted something that was more local. You've got a canyon. I've kind of nicknamed this more of a canyon style, but it's certainly you can have different colors or whatever. But the idea of having the pitched roofs, the other items that we've got on there, the little dormers and shed roofs, et cetera, is to, one, not only break it up, but also to fix it so that it would tend to look more like closer to a resort. Somebody might enjoy going up the canyon or something to go skiing or whatever, but some people could be working at Hill, they could be attending school. But hopefully, maybe you'll get your mayor or somebody else move into this place and they feel right at home. And so we tried to particularly when we started pulling some of the commercial away, we tried to fix it so that it would fit. And hopefully that's still something that that you agree with.
Yeah, and that's the hard part, right? Is getting everybody to agree between the planning commission and city council on an aesthetic. And it's hard. And I can certainly sympathize with that as you guys try to design this. And as I was trying to kind of classify the architecture that you guys have put in here, I'm seeing different elements. And one that really stuck out to me that I really liked was the kind of the Cape Dutch aspects of it, like the whitewashed wall or like those tall facades to them. I like that element. What I don't like about it is the repetitive nature of it. I like to see a little bit more variety between the buildings and their architectural styling. I know that you like to have conformity between all the designs because that drives down cost. I certainly understand that, but I'm wondering if we can have some variety between the buildings. And, you know, as I was looking at different examples, and I'm sorry, I don't think I can screen share tonight, but I'm just wondering if maybe we could do, instead of having those facades on what would be the long elevation of the facility, of the building, maybe have something on the short edges or short ends of the facade. Am I making sense there?
I think so. The one thing that I've tried to take into account, because of, you know, stairs and elevators, and also the fact that we've got to have exits. So, because one of the first things that a building official is going to look at in the fire department is that people can get out. And so that tends to provide some limits as far as what we can put on the ends, but we've purposely added some dormers and some other things there. As far as coloring, we'd have to talk to Joseph, but because we've looked at, you know, different colors. Somebody had mentioned, you know, possibly some 3D renderings, and I could share a sketch of something we've got, but that the color rendering that we've got was specifically to give you an idea of materials, et cetera. And a lot of the residential that are getting built right now, they're moving that direction. And so we're trying to get something that'll blend in with your location, but also something that is going to attract people. So
I don't mind the colors. The colors work well.
Are you talking, Taylor, parapet or one of the other architectural features on the end? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So instead of having a hipped roof, have a gable roof, and on the gable ends, you have one of those taller facades that kind of falls in line with like a Cape Dutch approach.
Yeah, maybe we can look at that.
Something.
I mean, I wouldn't mind looking at that. That's,
okay.
I mean, I don't know how crazy that would throw off the roof, Fred, to just add another parapet right there, but I don't have any objection.
Yeah, I can show you a current roof plan. It might give you a little bit of a perspective if that is appropriate.
I think he's seen it. I think he's just wondering if we can do a little more with the end of the building. You know what I mean? That
and just break up the repetition, right? As I look at the elevation on the long edge of the building, you know, it follows a pattern, and I'm just wondering if maybe we could add maybe something to it that is a little bit more unique.
So a different building parapet, you mean, instead of repeating the parapet? Yeah.
Yeah, and I apologize. I really wish I could share my screen with you and give you a little bit more of a concept of what I envisioned. But I like the step backs. I like the balconies. That all works. It's just the vertical facades that repeat that I'm not necessarily liking. That makes sense.
Hey, Taylor, you can share your screen if you want to.
I don't know, because I'm using my phone to actually come into the meeting. So what I'm looking at is on my laptop.
Oh, okay. All right.
Kim, if you give me a minute, I can at least show you what the roof plan looks like, and maybe that might explain a few things.
Yeah, you guys can share your screens.
Okay.
If you have a problem, let me know.
All right, let me, let's see if I can
So
get this
yeah.
to, I think you can, anyway, this shows a typical roof with, obviously you've got dormers, 812, 1212, 412, you've got shed roofs, you've got other things going on. And so we've purposely fixed it so that you don't have, this isn't going to look boring as you drive by, but I'm sure that the person putting in the shingles is going to hate us, but anyway.
No, that makes sense. I appreciate what you guys have done to break it up and make it look interesting. I'm just wondering if we can provide some variety between buildings for one, and then the repetition between all the dormers and roof lines. It throws me off. And I think for me, when I visualize this development, this is kind of showcasing South Weaver. This is front and center along I-89. And this is a great opportunity for us to provide a little bit of a wow factor, like, come explore our city. And I don't want to sell it short. So that's where I'm coming from. I may be the only one on the planning commission or even the city council, but those are my thoughts as I reviewed the architectural.
So Taylor, just so if we had variety between the parapets for one, is that what you're meaning? And then maybe one on the ends to kind of break up the short end. So
yeah, and I might be able to maybe after the meeting send you an email with some ideas that I had, just so I can show you conceptually what I'm thinking. You guys can run with that.
I mean, redrawing a couple of the parapets, I don't think is a big deal at all. So
no, I think you guys are close. I like the concept. I like the colors. I'm excited about it, and I'm just trying to figure out, how we really make this great. And I think we're getting close.
I think this would be a good time for me to jump in here and talk a little bit about a conversation I had with the mayor earlier this week. I was wondering, Fred, could you put up one of the elevations?
Sure. Let's see, I've got one there. Zoom meeting, share. Let me find it. This one's black and white. I've got some in color, but this shows.
No, that's fine.
Four elevations.
That's really good, actually. Let me just try and explain what her comments to me were. You can see where you've got those parapets. You got like 4 of them where the wall of the building extends out. So there's a jog in the wall, and then that extends up into a parapet. And there's kind of, you got 2 of them where there's a kind of I don't know what you call it, a faux chimney and a vent. And then 2 of them where there's 3 little dots. I don't know what those are at the top. Let me just explain. I just want you to hear
dormers, right?
Yeah, those are well, they're kind of dormers. There's no windows in them, but they're dormers.
Right.
Her comment was she thought that those 2 where the 3 dots are at the top, there was going to be a huge expanse of, I think that's either stucco or ephes. In any case, she was concerned about there being a very blank or plain wall there. There you go. You can see it a little better now. So you can see those 2 that have got the 3 dots at the top. She was actually asking what would happen, or could it be that you extend the stone that's at the bottom all the way to the top of those 2? I don't know what that does to you cost-wise. I don't know what that does to you architecturally. That's just a comment that she made. I just wanted you to hear it.
Hey, can I share my screen real quick and just kind of show you where this came from, Barry?
Yeah, sure.
All right, one sec. So this kind of concept came from, let's see, where is it? Safari.
The one comment I would like to make is those where the building jogs out a couple of feet. We're doing it for a couple of reasons. One is to break up so you don't have a box. It fixes it so your elevation goes out and back. That was one of the things in your zoning ordinance. And the other thing is we're using it specifically so that our master bedrooms are 2 foot bigger. I mean, we're doing it to make it look nice, but we're actually.
I think those things are great, and I don't think the mayor has any problem with them either. It was just strictly materials she was looking at. She was just concerned about a large expanse, unbroken expanse of stucco.
Sure.
So I don't know that
if I can see where it's telling me I've got problems sharing, but it says security and privacy. Let's see what it is. Let's see. Sorry, one sec. I'm just trying to figure out how to allow Zoom.
The other comment is the sidewalls are where we're picking up a lot of shear from our building as far as structure, and that also provides a certain amount of limits as far as what we can do. It doesn't mean that we can't do other things, but those were some of the things we're looking at. So,
let's see here.
Hey, Fred, can I ask a question of you of the interior design while Joe's looking that up, trying to get that on?
Sure.
I didn't see a place for washer and dryer.
Let's see if I've got one that shows a place for washer and dryer. Let me go back.
I tried to guess it, but I maybe make me feel better because I didn't see it for sure.
Okay, let me zoom up.
Robert, let me give you an idea. When we were in military housing in Germany, the washer and dryer were in the bathroom, kind of opposite where the bathtub was. Very inconvenient.
Unless you want a warm towel to get out of the bathtub with.
If you were to look at, see the smaller unit right here, I've got this little closet area right here, which has the ability to put a washer and dryer, a stackable washer and dryer, for example, could go right there. We've had them in a couple of different places. I've got another place right here where a washer and dryer could go.
And that's where I guess, Fred. I guess that's where it was. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, we've tried to put a place where someone can put coats and you know, vacuums and other places. But yeah, we've got a washer and dryer, and one of the options is because stackable creates some problems with wheelchairs. They make these. They make two different kinds. One, you can get a washer and dryer that is that'll fit underneath the countertop. You can literally put them in the kitchen. They take about as much space as a dishwasher. The other thing that they make are washers and dryers that are a combo washer and dryers. You put your clothes in and turn it on, and it washes them, and then when it gets done washing it, it dries them. Those are a little bit more money, but they're certainly an option and would certainly work in any of these spaces.
So so you guys do plumb for that though, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. They have washer and dryer as far as the plumbing and the dryer and everything. Yeah, they would have that in place.
Okay.
So yeah, we would anticipate people would have a washer and dryer, or if they don't have a washer and dryer, and I don't know whether Joseph's. I don't know if that's going to be built in or whether that's provided by the person moving in. A lot of people have their own washer and dryer. So,
Right.
but yeah, we would have plumbing for washer and dryers.
Okay. Sorry, Joe. So I didn't mean to interrupt there. You ready? Uh-oh. There we go.
You're on mute, Joseph.
There it is.
All right.
You're still on mute.
We can see your screen, Joseph. We can't hear you.
Sorry. Okay, there we go. Sorry. So Taylor, this is like Taylor mentioned, this is a Dutch architecture. This came from Rosemary Beach, Florida. And this is where the concept for all these parapets came from. So this is a very, very high end, very popular place right on the beach in the panhandle of Florida. And you can kind of see the architectural features. And I know the mayor mentioned the Stark, but this really kind of is the feature that you're looking for in that type of architecture, is that kind of large parapet look.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to get that type of look and kind of do it here. And so back to Taylor's comment about if we can, I don't think it's 5 minutes of work to change the design of the parapets. I mean, if we want to throw in like this or throw in like that, so they're not all, it's not a repeating pattern. I don't think that's a significant issue, but as you can see, it's a very distinct architectural feature of these buildings. So that's kind of what we were going for a little bit, and then mixing it with a little bit of, I guess Alpine, whatever. So
What sort of wind velocities would those sustain?
Well, here on the beach, I think, Henry, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they're up close to 200 miles an hour. So they can handle whatever Mother Nature can throw at them. So.
Hey,
Weaver Canyon.
Yeah, we've told you that we've told a number of people, structural engineers, et cetera, that we've had work on this project, that this is perhaps one of the windiest places in the state. So, but yeah, that's one of the things we're also taking into account is obviously wind.
Right.
So Joseph, oh, sorry, you stopped sharing your screen. That one that you had selected, that was on the right. Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about, where those gable ends have the parapet or the facades on them.
Right.
That's really neat to me. And then carrying something similar, a similar facade or parapet on the long side of the building as a visual interest is right in line with what I'm thinking.
So
Joseph, somehow you're muted again, Joe.
Shoot, sorry. I don't think that's a huge problem to vary the parapets as they go across the long side, and maybe add one on the end. I mean, we can. I'm not opposed to that. I'd like to do is get a specific, if that's something that's, the planning commission, have a specific, on final, bring us back something with a variation in the parapets and maybe a little more detail on the end. And, that's kind of what we're looking for, is specificity on those points. I don't have any problem, making those changes at all. I don't think it's a huge, cost or anything like that. So.
Well, the thing is, the look is all subjective. What one person likes, another person doesn't like. I'm not, honestly, some of those buildings you're showing us, I don't like. But I'm not the one building the project either.
Right.
People don't like my blue house, but it's my house. And you guys have already made quite a few changes based on our feedback and council's feedback. So I hope we don't get nitpicky and start becoming the architects your project, because that's not our role at all. But
We obviously we would love to get real basic things like, yeah, you've got a site plan that'll work. And oh, and by the way, we've looked at that development agreement and the minor modifications that you're talking. We think obviously, you know, until the project is approved and built, we're certainly welcome to work with staff as far as if we can make something better. But we you're right. We've made a lot of changes, and we're hoping that we've got something that for planning commission approval, you're okay with. So thank you.
There's no way I can offer an opinion because all my taste is in my mouth. So.
Well, I tried to take what Joseph was showing, and he gave me this, and he gave me some canyon buildings and some resorts, and try to get something that would work. And I think we're a lot closer than perhaps we were to start with. So thank you for your feedback.
Okay.
I'd like to make a few comments. You've come a long way on what you presented here and everything, but with a commercial overlay, originally the city, the planning commission and the city council looked at 50-50 footprint, square footage for commercial and residential. And what we started off here was with about 27,000 square feet of commercial. Now we're down to, hardly over 3,000 foot commercial. So there's been a drastic cut in the commercial there, which I think the city council is going to look at and say, no, it doesn't meet what we established as kind of a criteria, nothing written in stone, but as a criteria for how much commercial and residential there should be in a commercial overlay. You're making a lot of comments about this is going to look like a resort community. Well, South Weber is not a resort community. South Weber is a family community, and it ought to, the design you've got is good, but coming down Highway 89 out of the trees and all of the natural flora down through there, and all of a sudden you got this big white thing sticking up out there. To me, looks like a beached whale. And that white just turns me off. You're talking about a mountain resort. Well, Park City, the houses built up there and the condos up there fit into a mountain resort type environment. And this white definitely does not fit into the local type of architecture that we have. That's basically my comments on that is, you've come a long way, but I think you've got some minor tweaks that you're gonna have to do to it to get it past the city council.
Wes, one of the individuals in the city council told us that they didn't want us using the shared parking, and they wanted us to decrease the amount of commercial. And I don't know if that's widespread or whatever. I know there's been some changes to the city council and before, you go back a couple of years. And so we tried to make adjustments, not only based on your comments, but also comments that we did show the city council and got some comments from them as well. So we're hoping
I think
that
one of the biggest things, takeaways from city council that I got was that they did not want shared parking at all. So we reduced the number of residential units drastically. We reduced the number of commercial units drastically, so that they could all have their own parking for residents and their own parking for commercial, and they don't need to overlap at all. So we've done quite a few, made a complete revision of the site plan. We added a third entrance to eliminate, some of the traffic issues. Lowered all the building heights by putting these buildings into the ground in the rear, and in the front we've taken off a whole floor of that front building. So yeah, there has been a loss of some commercial, of course, but I think a lot of the changes we made and the concessions that we've given I think are quite significant. Eliminating the shared parking, complete architectural redraw. We've added all sorts of walkability features under this plan. One of the key features of the zoning is having these walkability paseos and that sort of thing, and we've drastically increased the amount of the interconnectivity and the pathways and that sort of thing between all the units. But yeah, I think there have been quite significant amount of changes to try to mollify the city council and planning commission. And so I think we're hoping to move forward tonight to have a motion to proceed to final and proceed on to the city council. So with if there aren't any more comments, I mean, hopefully there are more comments. If there are more comments,
I mean, Wes, you can go back and listen to the city council's meeting on this particular development. I can't remember. It's probably a month and a half or so back. This design is almost exactly what they asked for. So, I mean, it's about where it's at. I think color is something that, assuming that this preliminary is approved, that by the time it gets back to us for a final, we'll see some colors and be able to make those recommendations. Am I assuming that correct, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'd like to see. If you have a color recommendation, or like Taylor had with a specific architectural detail that he'd like to, modify, I'd like to have a boom, boom, boom list. And on final, we come back and those things are addressed. And you know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's what I would hope to do tonight.
Sure. Gary, you haven't spoke.
I really don't have many comments. I mean, as they noted, they've already made substantial changes to their plan, and I think the project is significantly better than what it was. And fortunately, not everybody's going to be pleased. I mean, there are people who are going to always hate this project regardless what goes there, and that's just what it is. But I do commend you for making the changes. I appreciate your willingness to listen and that, but I really don't have any additional comments on what I've already said tonight, so which hasn't been much. So
thanks, Gary. Appreciate that. Joseph, I just have one question about phasing. I saw how we're doing phasing. We're doing building A and then building C, I think, and then building B. If you finish building C, how is the underground parking going to work while you're doing the other building?
I thought it was B and C together, right, Leland? Leland, we went over this with the general contractor a while ago. I thought it was B and C first, right? I can't remember.
I don't remember how set up. But
I think it was the two back buildings.
One couldn't get out the other.
Right, and I think that's why one of them had to be built before the other one.
So the deal was that the underground parking for both has to be built at the same time. And of course, the road through. And then building B is built out and all the way up and first. And then building C can be built without interrupting access to building B.
Okay. So I'm not sure if you could understand that. Did everyone catch what he was saying?
I think I got it.
So the two rear buildings that are built, that are like embedded that are sunk into the ground, I think Leland was saying that the retaining walls for those foundations would have to be built simultaneously to retain the street and to retain the parking lot. And then you could build the one or the other buildings. And so I think that's what Leland was saying, if you couldn't understand him.
Well, and we've gone back and forth as far as which one's B and which one's C, and
yeah, I've lost.
Yeah, yeah, and so obviously, yeah, as far as phasing it, we'll obviously fix it so that it works. But you're right, we have to create a certain amount of structure for both of those buildings to be able to get the parking lot and everything else to work. So.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I just saw that and I thought that was just strange. I didn't get.
Yeah, I think those rear two buildings have to be, at least the retaining walls of them have to be done at the same time.
Sure. Okay. And as far as color, I got excited when you talked about canyon or mountain look. So there's my taste.
Thanks, Robert.
You know, that's cool. Anyway. Is there any other questions from the commission? If not, I look for a motion.
Taylor's speaking. We're not
Hold
hearing.
on.
Oh, sorry, Taylor.
Sorry, Rob. Yeah, I was on mute. I had one other question, and that was on the development agreement, and I couldn't recall why we restricted the hours of operation.
That had to do
It
with
stuck out.
the shared parking. We restricted hours of operation because of the parking that was shared between the commercial and the residential. In this project, there is no shared parking, and therefore there's no reason to have any kind of restriction on the hours of operation.
So is that out of the new development agreement? The
Yes.
6 o'clock hour?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Removed, Taylor.
I'm sorry?
That's been removed.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Is there a motion? Someone make a motion? I would suggest in your motion you include Barry's and Brandon's letters.
So I'll make a motion that we recommend approval of the preliminary site plan and improvements and amended development agreement for the lofts at Deer Run, subject to the letters from Barry Burton, the city planner, and Brandon Jones, city engineer.
Could I interject here really quick?
Sure,
This isn't a recommendation to city council. Preliminary does not go to city council. This is just approval.
Approval.
Okay.
Okay. So noted. Is that okay, Taylor?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll say.
Okay, thanks, Gary. I'll approve. I'll entertain a roll call vote. Gary.
Aye.
Wes.
Aye.
Taylor.
Aye.
Aye as well. So, congratulations, gentlemen. You got your preliminary on your way. Looks like it's just a few tweaks, and the final will come along. Kim, when can they come to final?
Once they get everything, once they'll do their final submission, and it has to go through the review and response period. Then once that's done, they'll go to the next closest planning commission meeting. So it just depends on how long it takes them to submit and the review and response time.
How soon can we get to the city council for the development agreement?
It will go through with the project. The development agreement will not go through by itself. So it'll come through with the project when it comes back through planning commission, and then when it goes to city council for final, the development agreement will go through as well as the conditional use permit.
So there's no way to present this to the city council at this point for the development agreement?
No, they asked that it go through together. Blair can speak for that. He just unmuted.
Yeah, I think that's we understood that it was all going to come together.
Yeah, you can make that request, but we did want them to come together.
Yeah, I really appreciate everyone's time. I know y'all spent a lot of time on this, and thank you so much, Gary and Taylor and Robert and Wes and Michelle and everybody that's on and all the staff. Thank you so much for your time and effort and all the time you spent looking at these documents. So and probably some of the headache and grief you faced from your neighbors. So I really appreciate that. And anyway, so we're hopefully make the best project we can out of this. So and I think all the input has made this thing tons better, by the way. I mean, tons better. So I really appreciate it. So
I think something's looking pretty good. I think it's coming together real well. So
okay, well, thank you so much.
I will say I appreciate
Thank you.
engineering drawings because the maps were pretty cool of South Weber in the 1950s. That was pretty cool. Engineering drawings. That's pretty awesome. Anyway, Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
All right, you too. Bye.
Sure. Plan Commission, final comments. Commissioner Boatright?
Just a update. I've actually been kind of out of the loop on the code committee. I've had some personal things take precedent in my life and haven't been able to be a part of that. So again, Taylor is doing the heavy lifting there. But other than that, I think this is Barry's last planning commission meeting. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. I was going to bring that up.
Well,
yeah.
Thank you, Barry.
This is
I've only
kind
worked
of a
with you.
milestone.
I've only worked with you for a year, but it's been a pleasure and wish you well.
Thanks. I'm going to miss all of you. It's been a ride. It's been a good ride. So I appreciate you. I'll be with the city doing other things till the end of the year, but I probably won't see you guys again.
I've known Barry for over, almost 30 years, back when I was at State Parks and doing a bunch of stuff there. And Barry was kind of out there helping us along. Been great knowing you, Barry. Have good retirement.
Thanks, Wes. Thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate knowing you. We've had a long run together.
Yeah.
Anything else, Wes?
Kim, how soon are we going to get next year's schedule out?
It's out.
It's already out.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It is. Is that it, Wes?
The Kenyon Meadows Park is, we submitted some stuff to the city council, or it's going to the city council on the development over there. And it's going to be quite nice.
Very good. Very good. Taylor?
Not a whole lot of updates from the code committee. We've been trying to step up our tempo so we can get through this. So we've been meeting weekly and refine all the definitions that we have in our ordinances as they relate to land uses. And that was a very interesting conversation. And so we're going to start, I believe next on trying to define commercial uses and where they best lay, or not lay within the city, but more what those defined uses are. So it's been good. We're getting a lot of good work together. And Barry, you might be leaving us, but you've left quite a legacy. We appreciate everything that you've done here in the city, and planners' footprints and fingerprints are all over the city that they've been working for. So every time we look at this city, we'll realize that you had such a vital role in all of that. And I just want to say thank you as a resident. So
thanks, Taylor.
We'll miss you.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Sure. That's all I had, Rob.
Thanks, Taylor. I appreciate the comments towards Barry. Barry's been a good friend. Many times I've leaned over and said, "What in the heck does that mean?" So and he's helped me, and I appreciate that. And not only a good friend and mentor to me, as well as members of my family as well. So we appreciate Barry in doing that. Just want to wish everybody Merry Christmas. Hope you have a great Christmas and New Year, and hopefully next year it's more normal.
Yeah.
So with that, staff, any
likewise.
Nothing new. I was going to bring that up. This was my last meeting with you. I really appreciate my association with the Planning Commission, with the staff. Michelle, I'm not leaving you out. You've been awesome. I can't believe how you stuck with us all these years, and you do a great job.
Well, Barry, what's so funny about that is you've probably been here as long. Well, I've been here as long, not quite as long as you have, but it's been a great ride. And one thing that I've noticed about Barry is you can't tell if he's offended or not, because he has been able to keep his his demeanor and his professionalism intact as and he's in a tough position, but I've always admired how he's handled himself professionally, and I will miss saying hi Barry and bye Barry on a weekly basis. So
yeah, I'll miss you
good
too,
luck.
Michelle.
Okay. Brennan, Blair, anybody else? Anything, other comments? Sorry, Jamie as well. Sorry.
I don't really have any other comments related to city business other than I already said this to Barry in city council meeting, but Barry and I have worked really closely for, I figured it's been about 15 years. And yeah, I just have a lot of respect. I know you guys have all said it, but I want to say it out of my own mouth. I have a lot of respect for Barry. I think he's a really, really good man, and he's done a wonderful job with his as the city planner. I think there's a huge spot in his heart for South Weber. He loves South Weber dearly. So anyway, thanks, Barry. It's been great.
It has been, Brandon. We have worked really closely and really well together. It's been a great association. I really appreciate you. And you're right. I do have a soft spot for South Weber, and I always will.
They talk shit about each other.
Sounds like somebody needs to go on mute.
Someone's got a hot mic.
I don't have any business, but I want to echo Brandon's comments. Barry will be missed. When I was asked to be the city attorney, I had a conversation with one of my law partners, and one of his first questions was, who is their city planner? And when I told him it was Barry Burton, he breathed a deep sigh of relief and just said, he's wonderful, and you'll have a great experience working with Barry. And it's only been a few months, but he was absolutely right in that regard. And Barry, you'll be missed.
Thanks, Jamie. I appreciate it. Appreciate my association. Even though it's short, it's been a good one with you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, as do I.
Are they going to hold you on a retainer, Barry?
Gonna get a lot of my phone calls for a while.
I've told them I'll be around.
We made Barry give his number out and his email out in the public meeting last night or Tuesday night. So he will get bothered by most of us.
Hey, I'll tell you what. Barry's really done for South Weber. He hasn't let UNA take us over, and that's been awesome.
Good.
That is true. Hey, Rob, the only thing I had was just to let you know, I don't know how many of you watched City Council, which I hope you guys all have other things to do. But just so you know, the conditional use permit for the soccer complex was finalized.
Yes.
I think we're getting signatures on it, right, Brandon? And Barry? Yes. And then also as Wes mentioned, the Canyon Meadows Park, we did approve or recommended alternate 3, which is a completion of phase 3.
Yeah.
So,
cool.
And I've already cried over Barry on Tuesday, so I'll let him be, but he will be missed.
Very good. All right. I'll look for a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay. Thanks. All in favor, say aye. I'm pretty sure it's an aye, but
Aye.
Aye.
thanks. Have a good evening. Have a great Christmas, everyone. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
See you
next year.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
See ya.
Christmas.